Oh! Say, hello, welcome to my jungle. So today I thought I would just talk about 5 plants that I'm just super vibing at the moment, that I'm just loving, that are just making me really proud when I look at them. Some of them are really good looking and some of them are not, and I love them for other reasons. But let's just jump into it anyway. So my first plant is this red vein Maranta. Oh wow. I actually realized that I have quite a number of prayer plants on this list, which is interesting because in case you haven't heard me say it every single video I've made so far, I have a really dry house. And Calathea, prayer plants, not Calathea, this is not a Calathea. This is a Maranta. They both belong to the Marantacea family, which is the prayer plant family, and that's what I'm trying to say. Normally, prayer plants in general like more humidity than I can give, but as you can see, wow, she's so pretty. This big girl here is just doing so well. It lives near a lamp that has a grow light, well, a globe that works as a glow light in there, which it obviously loves. It's always popping out like 4 or 5 or 6 leaves all at one time. I can't believe how good that looks. I am so proud of this plant. In case you didn't know, the reason why they're called prayer plants is that the leaves move up and down from daytime to nighttime. So when it's nighttime, all the leaves will stand up generally into like a prayer hands sort of situation, and when they do that, you can see the red, purpley red back when the plant stands up at nighttime. It also lives on a cabinet that's basically the exact color of the undersides of these leaves. So this plant sitting there on top of that is magic. I could look at this plant all day. I do look at this plant all day. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's a really dense potting mix. I'm too scared to repot it. I might let it dry out a little bit more. I think out of all my prayer plants, this might be the one that I let dry out the most. Although I do let them all dry out to some extent. All the ones that I have, I should say. I wouldn't be letting any old Calathea dry out. I don't know, I have a hard time letting any plant dry out because I'm always looking for plants to water, but I try my hardest. So I think I'm gonna pop this one here. Okay, next plant. Speaking of Calathea, Calathea rufibaba. I can't possibly be saying that right. Anyway, who cares? You can still see the plant. So the thing that is just groundbreaking about this plant is that it's fluffy, and you can't tell by looking at the plant at all, and I think that's a lot of the grabs for me, because it's so surprising that this plant is fluffy. I've never seen a fluffy Calathea before. I'm sure it's not the only one. Can you see any fluffiness with my shaky hands? Probably not. So I bought this from Bunnings and it had a lot of cosmetic damage when I bought it. It has pushed out so many leaves since I've had it. So I've been able to just sort of cut off the old damaged ones, although we still do have a little bit going on there. This is another plant that has kind of purpley backs to the leaves. Feels a little bit more sort of an iridescent vibe. If I hold it on just the right angle, you can see the purple backs on the leaves. And I don't know, just its growth pattern and these crinkly, like scalloped edges to the leaves. It gives me rainforest vibes, and then it's fluffy. It makes me feel good because it's a Calathea that's thriving in my house. This plant gets super low light, and although most prayer plants are coined as low light plants, I think I'm still surprised by just how much this one loves how little light it gets. This is another one that I have not repotted because I'm too nervous to. It's in pure peat from when I bought it, which I have learned over the years how to look after plants that are in 100% peat moss. It's not great for the plant, but totally fine until you sort of get around to potting it up in your own soil. So that's plant number 2. So should we just do the last prayer plant and get them out of the way? Why not? I think the bottom of this is a little bit wet. Spread my legs a bit. Okay, so this is one of the plants that aren't looking absolutely beautiful and stunning at all. But there's a lot of other reasons why I love this plant. This is a Tenanthe, I assume, I'm guessing. Definitely looks like a Tenanthe to me. Wouldn't be able to tell you which one. It nearly looks like the Belmarx Tenanthe, but it's not. Anyway, so you can see that there's a fair bit of crispy edges going on with this plant. It lives in this huge, beautiful ceramic pot, but of course in a plastic nursery pot inside that. This is in my own soil this time. I have repotted this and I'll explain why. So one of the reasons that I just love this plant, and every time I look at it just love this plant, is that this is one of the first, not only, but this is one of the first and definitely the biggest plant that my partner Caspar has bought me. And I don't know, it's really nice to have him jump on board on my plant obsession, because I know he generally likes to joke about how much he hates it. So having a plant from him is really nice, makes me happy. The problem was when he brought this plant home, is that it was pretty infested with spider mites. And I didn't notice to begin with. I would have inspected the plant because I don't think I've never not inspected a plant. They're possibly still in their larvae stage or something like that at the time, or just really tiny and they hadn't started making their web yet and I just didn't see them, but I definitely did not see them. So not only did they sort of spread around my house a little bit, but at the time I was a little bit overwhelmed by life, other separate situations, and when I realized this plant was completely infested in spider mite webs, that I just kind of didn't have it in me to deal with that and care for that in a way that I normally would. So instead I just chucked the plant outside. I took it out of its beautiful pot and I popped it on my deck outside and I said, you know, live or die. Oh my god, that's so mean. I don't know, I just kind of gave up on it straight away. I just didn't have it in me to try and deal with it, and I couldn't bear losing a lot of my collection like I did last winter, I guess. I don't know, it was a poor decision. It was a bad decision, but the whole reason I picked it back up and repotted her and sprayed her down and fixed her up was just how hard she was fighting. It was like summer, or at least it was still really warm back when this happened, and I left it out there in direct sunlight and she got scorched. I just mentioned earlier that these are pretty low light loving plants, and I just left her out there in the direct sunlight and didn't really water her, and she was covered in spider mites, she was severely underwatered, and she was absolutely sunburnt. She had a really hard time, but she was still pushing out new growth and just sort of, I don't know about thriving, but doing really well, and I felt really bad. I looked at her outside and I noticed how well she was doing, and I was like, damn, this plant a fighter. Mad respect, you know. You can come back inside my house now. So I do still have some dry crispy edges and ends going on from that situation, from, I don't know whether or not the spot that she sits in that's sort of adjacent to my front door, how much sort of cold air that's getting, so it would be dealing with that as well. But she has tons of these fresh little baby leaves and she's popping out everywhere. Oh, I like this one here. This little loner in the pot. That's cute. I like you. So yeah, I think I'm just really proud of this plant, and not of my caring of this plant. I'm purely just proud of this plant. She's done a good job. She's still growing strong. She's still looking fantastic. I love the Tenanthe sort of growth pattern with these long, they kind of remind me of reeds. The long spindly legs everywhere, and then these pattern leaves on top. How fun. You're a cool dude. You are rather large though, so I'm gonna go put this back. So the next plant on my list really surprised me. I did not expect to just fall in love with this plant like I did. I always thought that my favorite variety of Scindapsus was always going to be the Exotica, with the big lush leaves. It's really hard to go past the Exotica. I still really love the Exotica. I also now know about super interesting forms like the dark form and the Trubiae Moonlight. Anyway, off topic, Scindapsus. In that eBay order where I had received those two Syngonium cuttings for my Syngonium collection video, I also received two Scindapsus cuttings, One was a Skindapsus Silvery Anne, which is in my grow cabinet right now. It's an okay cutting, it's not super exciting though. And this cutting here is a Skindapsus Silver Lady. And there is just something about this contrast in colors and the way that their spotting shows up compared to the Exotica. Oh my gosh, it reminds me of a Dalmatian. Is anyone else getting that vibe? I already have taken a cutting from the cutting that I got because I would like a fuller plant, and this is the cutting. How cute is that? That is so stinking cute. Holy moly. Oh, I feel really aggressive about it. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I just stare at it. It sits right in front of my face on a shelf on my desk, and I just stare all day, every day, all the time. I love this plant so much. You are so pretty. You are so pretty. Okay, last plant. So this is my last plant. It hangs in my window, and it is a, what are you? Aeschycanthus. A black pagoda lipstick plant. This was a little 2 or 3 leaf cutting when I first bought it online. I can't remember if it was a Facebook seller or what it was, but over time as she grew I kept cutting it and rooting my cuttings, and eventually got to pop them all in the same pot together, and it looks so cute. It definitely could fill out and be a little bit more full, but this tiny little pot, oh, with all these leaves that are so pretty coming out. Let me do a close-up of these leaves. I very recently took cuttings from this as well and sold the cuttings locally, so that's pretty fun. Now other people get to enjoy this plant as well. Wow, look at that. It gives me jewel orchid vibes. That sort of lightning stripe going on. This is a seriously cool plant. There's heaps of new growth going on, and I think I will just continue to keep cutting it back and either selling the cuttings off or letting the plant get a little bit thicker. It's so cute. What a vibe this is. Look at this. Total vibe. Like that is so, that's just adorable. I love it. I love it. I made this macrame hanger too, which is, makes me proud. It's very cool. These are the 5 plants that I'm just finding myself oohing and ahhing and gushing over when I go to water them or just look at them and touch them and stare at them. They're like the good boys of houseplants. Such a good boy. You know, good doggo, but houseplants. Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like a more in-depth care video on any of these plants, please just comment below and let me know. Please just feel free to comment anyway, comment anything. I don't mind. It really helps with the engagement on my videos and helps my videos be found and be pushed by the algorithm. So that would be awesome. As well as that, if you could like this video or subscribe to my channel, I would super duper appreciate it. Okay, I need to go hang this back up on my curtain rod. Okay, bye.